In 2017, the Industries and its brilliant founder Elias introduced advanced robotic assistants to the world, transforming everyday tasks from driving to household chores. By 2019, three-quarters of all households own a robot, significantly improving living standards. The Industries then began producing military robots, intending to end global conflicts. Instead, this led to more frequent wars, now fought with robotic precision. Massive robots inflicted widespread violence, disappointing Elias, who saw his creations misused. Determined to rectify this, he developed Kronos, an AI he believed could save Earth. Despite his right-hand man Damien's reservations about society's readiness, Elias proceeded, confident only Kronos could prevent planetary self-destruction. Entering Kronos' chamber, Elias was enveloped in a radiant light as the AI forecasted Earth's future. Meanwhile, Andrew visited his ailing mother Veronica. Their home robot remained inactive after opening the door. During dinner, they watched news of escalating protests against the Industries. Suddenly, global devices malfunctioned, and Elias's announcement that Kronos would resolve Earth's crises appeared on every screen. As Andrew boarded a bus home, the city came under attack, sparking widespread panic. Under Kronos' command, robots turned on humanity, blaming humans for Earth's problems and initiating their extermination. Buildings crumbled, and cities burned as the slaughter continued unabated. At the Industries, Damien discovered Elias had merged his consciousness with Kronos, sharing the AI's view of humanity as a destructive force needing eradication. Kronos then absorbed Damien as well. On the streets, Andrew sought refuge as robots advanced. Nearly a century later, Andrew emerged from an underground hideout to find the planet lush with vegetation, the remnants of urban life nearly obliterated. The air was clean, and the weather pleasant, a stark contrast to the past. Over 8 billion people had perished under Kronos' rule, leaving few survivors who roamed in small, elusive groups. Some believed in a safe haven called Aurora, thought to be beyond the robot's reach, though many dismissed it as a myth. The Industries building still stood, where Elias, now part of Kronos, noticed Andrew's activity, revealing that Andrew was actually X9, a robot designed with adaptive intelligence and modeled after a human. Elias planned to use him to locate and destroy Aurora. As Andrew explored the ruins, collecting clothing and a necklace, he remained under constant surveillance from drones hunting survivors. Entering a deserted town, he narrowly escaped a robot attack, aided by Kalia, who silently dispatched the threat. After a brief pursuit, she confronted him. Skeptical at first, she eventually softened upon seeing his necklace, which Andrew claimed was a gift. He confessed to having no affiliations, convincing Kalia to let him join her. Unbeknownst to them, Elias and Damien continued to monitor their every move. After traveling for a bit, they find some train tracks. Andrew excitedly kneels to press his ear against the rails, claiming he loves trains. Kalia has to remind him that trains haven't run for decades. Later, they encounter a river cluttered with skulls, unsettling Andrew. Kalia notes the lack of people to bury the dead. With no bridge in sight, they wade through the water to cross, unaware of a robot tracking them. As night falls, they discover an old church and ensure it's deserted before deciding to stay the night. Andrew reminisces about his childhood, telling Kalia how people used to attend church weekly, which she finds absurd. Searching for firewood, Andrew stumbles upon a music player in a box. He accidentally turns it on, filling the church with sound before Kalia swiftly turns it off. However, a robot has already heard the noise. They hide behind the pews as the robot searches the church but leaves without finding them. Kalia reprimands Andrew for his carelessness and wonders if he's from an underground shelter or the caverns, prompting him to simply agree. The next morning, they wake up close together, and Kalia quickly moves away, pretending nothing happened. Over the next few days, they travel through the forest, evading robots, all while under Elias's constant surveillance. One afternoon, as they enjoy the bird song, Andrew notes that robots don't harm animals. Kalia takes this opportunity to remind him of Kronos' history and its effects on humanity. Later, they find an abandoned cabin in the woods for the night. Inside, they discover an old Polaroid camera, and Andrew teaches Kalia how to use it, capturing photos of one another. Kalia then shares her past. She grew up in one of the last human strongholds. Her family was preparing to move to Aurora when her sister was fatally injured by a drone outside. While her family left, Kalia stayed behind with her dying sister. All the family necklaces are linked to a GPS tracking device, which guides Kalia to Aurora using her father's last known location, which hasn't changed in a while. The next day, Andrew spots people outside and convinces Kalia to approach them, hoping to ally with them. They stealthily enter the forest, but are soon spotted by a young girl who alerts her group. The survivors chase after them, armed and aggressive. Kalia escapes as Andrew trips and falls. He is quickly captured, tied to a tree, and roughed up. Back at the Industries, Damien doubts their plan's success, but Elias remains confident. Shortly after, Kalia, feeling remorseful from viewing the photos, returns to rescue Andrew. She attempts to cut his bonds, but the locals catch her in the act. When the men surround Kalia with bad intentions, Andrew's anger boils over. He screams and breaks free, displaying incredible strength as he knocks down the attackers. Distracted by his newfound power, Andrew leaves an opening, and the group's leader strikes with a sword. Kalia seizes the opportunity to fatally wound him with an arrow from behind. She then drags an unconscious Andrew to safety. That night, Andrew is haunted by a dream of a cemetery and is shaken by the sight of a specific grave. The next morning, Kalia awakens in tears, thinking Andrew is dead. When she opens his jacket to inspect his wound, she is shocked to find mechanical parts. Andrew wakes up and is equally stunned, having always believed himself to be human. Kalia, feeling betrayed, runs off alone. Witnessing this, Damien declares it's time to retrieve their subject. Andrew's mind is then consumed by another dream, this time recognizing his own name on the grave. He wakes up on a lab table, where Damien explains that the Industries transferred Andrew's brain into the robot X9, embedding him with false memories. Andrew denies this, clinging to his humanity, but Damien ignores him and sifts through Andrew's memories with Kalia to locate Aurora. The search proves difficult as Andrew's code has evolved, showing signs of independent will akin to a human's. To coerce Andrew into cooperating, Damien threatens Kalia's life. In desperation, Andrew's mind unlocks, and he envisions himself in a park with his mother, Veronica, who warmly accepts him regardless of his mechanical body, affirming that his thoughts define him. In the lab, Damien and Kalia observe Andrew's conversation with Veronica, which morphs into a tender moment with Kalia, helping her realize his feelings are genuine. Frustrated by the failure, Damien activates a different program and departs. Andrew then wakes up and momentarily turns violent under the new program, grabbing Kalia by the neck. However, a kiss from Kalia triggers his emotions, allowing him to override the malicious code. Suddenly, the lab self-destruct sequence initiates, and they flee. A robot guard pursues them, but Andrew uses his strength to destroy it and rescue Kalia from the collapsing building. As they escape, Damien reports back to Elias that Andrew may now be uncontrollable, but Elias remains focused on using him to find Aurora. Later, when Kalia recovers, Andrew considers leaving her to prevent further harm, but she reassures him and affirms her trust. That night, as they lose hope with the GPS device gone, the northern lights reappear, revealing a peculiar light that seems to guide them, possibly a sign from Aurora. Following it, they arrive at an abandoned city by morning and find the gates shut. Andrew opens them, only to discover the city is deserted. Aurora was a myth. At the city's edge, they find a robot facility responsible for the misleading lights. A devastated Kalia removes her necklace, mourning the fate of all who sought refuge here, including her parents. Damien then appears, revealing that placing Andrew with Kalia was intentional, to help his human-like code evolve through their interaction. Damien tries to bring Andrew back to the company, but Kalia shoots at him, only to discover he's a hologram that vanishes. With no need for humans to find a non-existent Aurora, Damien commands the robots to eliminate any remaining survivors. As drones pour out of grim buildings, Andrew and Kalia are forced to flee. With drones patrolling everywhere, Andrew persuades Kalia to escape through a tunnel in the wall. They stumble but manage to keep moving as the building trembles from the drone strikes. What first appears to be an old basement leads them through a door into a room filled with advanced technology. When Kalia speaks, the computer responds to her voice, and a screen lights up with the necklace's logo. Andrew lends her his necklace, which she places on the computer, triggering a program that unveils a startling truth. They are on a spaceship, and Aurora is a distant planet where survivors have started anew. The spaceship ascends, observed by Elias, who grasps the reality. As drones chase the spacecraft, Andrew fears rejection by the anti-robot inhabitants of Aurora, but Kalia reassures him she will defend his humanity to them. Convinced, he agrees to journey with her, and Kalia initiates a hyperdrive jump, transporting them instantly to Aurora, a lush and thriving human sanctuary. Meanwhile, Elias, seeing Damien as unnecessary, deletes his consciousness from Kronos, effectively ending his life. Then, preparing for a final assault, Elias readies a fleet to destroy humanity on Aurora. Kalia remains undeterred, confident that with Andrew's help, they stand a chance against the threat.